Okay, Common Gaming here. Day 6. Chapter 6. Alright. Chapter 6. Shot down behind enemy lines. Many who dreamed of being pilots wanted to fly Spitfires. These planes are flying solo, simply the pilot versus the enemy. The glory, the stories, and the action associated with these fighters drew countless hopeful recruits to the RCAF. Of course, the harsh realities of fire, bullets, ditchings, and death are rarely concerned until a Spitfire pilot is on a mission. The dangers are staring them in the face. Manitoba Jack Hughes is a fighter pilot in the RCAF stationed with No. 4 and 2 Squadron of Red Hill, England. On July 15, 1942, he is one of many pilots who will be flying reverse offensive fighter sweeps on targets of opportunity into France. The Red Hill airfield is shared between a Polish squadron and 942 and 602. The plan for upcoming mission for the Poles and 602 to fly into France and like hounds at a fox hunt sniff out the enemy at railroad yards, canals, and roadways. Jack and 942 Squadron are assured to stand at the ready in case they are needed for defense. The first wave of Spitfires take off at 11 a.m., leaving Jack and the others at 15-minute readiness. Jack is out in his aircraft talking with the ground crew where two red scramble flares. The signal orders immediately take off at trigger, leaping into action. The pilots of 942 are strapped in and their engines running in minutes. Jack's Spitfire is second off the line, flying number 2 to the commanding officer, CO. As soon as the reports that he is born, the air controller replies, "Buster 180 deck," giving Jack the go-ahead to fly maximum speed due south below the clouds. The Spitfires drop down to the English Channel, where there are several flyers submerged just off the French coast, and where Allied rescue boats are being attacked by German Messerschmitts 109, Me-109s. The Me-109s are hitting the vessels in pairs, and several of the boats are in flames. The CO quickly manages to break up the attack in progress, and the rest of the Allied planes fly a defensive circle around the rescue boats. Suddenly, the Jerrys forget the boats altogether and turn their attention to the Spitfires, who are now at a defensive, and they are in defensive position. Shortly after the attack, repetitive, enemy squadron of Fokker-Wulff's FW-190 show up relative to the Me-109s, who are short on fuel and ammunition. On their way out, a pair of FW-109s dive in the one last hit on the boats. Jack doesn't think twice about going after the two enemy fighters. He is bent on saving the men in water for ugly death. Driving after the FW-190s with guns rattling, Jack makes a couple of hits and the brakes off. When he looks back over the shoulder, the idea of going around again to finish the job sees an FW-190 on his tail. Less than 300 feet away, Jack guns the Spitfire engine, but it's too late. The rounds come out of the Jerry's cannons like red-hot baseballs. They smash holes through the port side of the Spitfire fuselage, and they exit out starboard side, igniting the fuel. As an instant, the flames from the gas tank are sucked into the cockpit, covering Jack from helmet to boots. A message comes over the radio. His buddies see he's in trouble, and he has his tail covered. Though he is wounded and still wearing his burning flight suit, Jack manages to remember his training. Almost automatically, he puts his ejection plan into action. The plane has often gone in his head, on over his head, but until now it is one that he'll never had to use. Moving quickly, Jack reduces speed by pulling up in a loop. He is not only strapped in the aircraft, he is also attached to it by oxygen and radio communications. Jack pulls the oxygen filter and radio plug out from the dash of the Spitfire. There drops the seat, pulls the pin on the seat harness, and straps up. He kicks the control stick forward to create a burst of momentum that he hopes will help spring him up and out of the burning aircraft. As the kite throttles forward, unfortunately Jack can't jump as easily as he had planned. The radio cord is tangled on the seat lever. Jack is on fire. His plane engine is stalling. He can't reach down to get the cord loose. Crouching down on the seat with his hands on the edge of the cockpit, he leaps out of the aircraft with all his strength, ripping off the oxygen mask and earphones in the process. As he flies through the air, Jack looks over at his Spitfire, which is entering its death spiral. He then pulls his ripcord and feels the suit pulling away from him. Underneath his body, they're executing his escape plan. Jack had taken into consideration that he would still be captured upon a catapult upwards from the moment of the aircraft, causing the suit to open beneath them and upside down. As he starts to fall, Jack realizes he's an underturn of landing on his own parachute, rendering it useless. Without wasting another second, he does a backflip in the air and makes a dive towards the suit. He races past it heading first, and the chute flips around and opens properly, yanking Jack into an upward position. The flames flagging Jack's gear are almost out, but his hand is bleeding profusely from a shrapnel wound. As he descends from the sky, he wraps his ripcord around his waist to stem the flow of blood. Losing track of time, he doesn't realize how close he is to the water and hits the English Channel without getting the chance to release his harnesses. After a few seconds of struggling, Jack manages to release the parachute harness buckle, and 3 of 4 straps fall away as they're supposed to. The 4th, however, catches on something, and the chute starts to drag Jack with the current. Lungs bursting, he kicks off his flight boots and pulls the lever on his CO2 bottle to inflate his mace waist. Soon he breaks the surface of the water and gracefully breathes in the misty ocean air. Pulling out his emergency dinghy pack, Jack inflates the raft and climbs aboard. The channel had just the flames of the raining of his flames on his uniform, but he is badly burned, and the salt water is causing him excruciating pain. His flight suit is charred and charred, and he has a head wound and injured head and countless small abrasions. Reaching into the side compartment of the dinghy for the first aid packet, Jack discovers that both it and the escape kit are missing. That means he has nothing which to dress his wounds, and worse still, he has no players to send off to help with his rescue. Jack pulls the suit uh, from the water and tackles it into the raft for easy access. His fingers that he figures that if he hears a Merlin engine thunder by, he will throw the chute out and use it as a signal. However, if rescue doesn't come with daylight, he you try the raft to the chute and use it to sail across the English Channel and home. With his last act of survival complete for the night, Jack tosses the drag anchor into the water to keep his dinghy from drifting too far with the current, and then passes out from exhaustion and loss of blood. Sometime around dusk, the noise of wooden trawlers in the surf wakes him. Jack opens his eyes and sees one boat in front of his dinghy and another one coming up alongside it. He tries to stand up and wave his arms, but he can't. Kept his balance with moments a net is thrown over the side of the trawler and two seamen row part way down. Reaching over, they grab Jack by the shoulders and hoist him up over the side of the boat. Then, playing him faceward down on the deck, they pin him where the first frisk him. They are looking for weapons and trying to verify that he is RCAF. Jack soon realizes that he is not not on a fishing boat, but a destroyed English minesweeper. He asks one of the crew how they found him in the overcast weather, and the crew explains that they had seen a fireball and had followed it path downwards, taking between two boats. The boats then had to continue their sweep of the area before investigating further, but they later located him only a little ways off where they had figured he would be. Jack is taken below deck where a medical officer cuts away his clothes and swabs, cleans, and bandages his wounds. Once he is dressed in warm overalls, he sits on the edge of the bunk and wishes he had something for the pain. A thoughtful sailor brings him a good shot of rum. Later, another sailor brings him a shot of brandy. Jack falls asleep, warmed to the bone. Something in the night, he wakens with a start. Things seem too quiet. The boat engine has stopped. My vessel feels empty. The light of the ship's compass casts a blue light over everything, and suddenly Jack makes his way on deck. Stricken, he hit his head up for enough to see. He finds the boat is docked, and there are English servicemen milling around the beach area. The boat has landed in Dover, on the south coast of England. Jack is home. As soon as he is able, Jack returns to his squadron to commence active duty. He is one of the only few that survived the air battle on July 15, 1942. His act of heroism includes not only his brave defense of the survivors in the water, but the actions that saved his own life against daring odds. That's the end of chapter 6. Dedicate this to the Ukrainians that are fighting. I hope they find peace. And I thank the veterans who fought in World War I, World War II, so I can read this book and make YouTube videos, and I can have freedom of opinions. And I thank them for doing this. and I'll read chapter 7 tomorrow, and that's the end.